Greetings gastronauts, this is KeefCooks, I'm Keef, and today I'm not cooking. We're going on a road trip. We're going to Kendal in Cumbria. We're going to visit a Texan smokehouse and sample their wares. So the way this came about, just before Christmas I got a message from Jonathan Cook, who's one of my long-time followers. Hello Jonathan. And he said he wanted some contact details so he could send me some smoked meats from his local Texan smokehouse. And so we had a bit of correspondence. I had a look at their website and it said, you can go and collect it yourself. And I thought, yeah, I'll do that. So this is what happened. So on the Tuesday afternoon we jumped in the little black and white motor car and headed north, taking the A65 up from Skipton. And why would you take a motorway when you could drive through beautiful scenery? We've got the Yorkshire Dales to the east, and then a bit further on we've got the Lake District to the west, and it's gorgeous. So the weather was fine till we got to Cumbria, when it turned a bit grim. Sorry Cumbria. This old stone building had been a smokehouse for about 200 years, and it closed down just after the Second World War, and then stood derelict for decades, really, until it was refurbished as part of the development of the Booths supermarket. And initially it was a bakery, and then the bakery outgrew the premises, and then it was taken over by Robin, who's a third generation Texan pitmaster. And what she's doing in Kendall, well, it's a long story. The conversion of the bakehouse and building the pit from scratch took about 20 months and was done by Jonathan Cook and Robin's husband, Mike. The brisket and pork shoulder were well on their way when we popped in for half an hour on Tuesday evening. I think these are pork shoulders and they've been in for an hour or two. So Robin's just given us a sneak peek to get us salivating. So this is Strickland Gate, which is the main shopping street in Kendall. Straight ahead there is the marketplace, and then going down the hill, more Strickland Gate, and I think that's the town hall with big tower there on the left. But what we're more interested in is this, a smokehouse ard. A lot of Kendall is like this, little alleyways and courtyards off the main street, which is quite characterful. I like it. And coming up here is Red Door Kitchen, where we just had breakfast. We had lovely American style
pancakes with maple syrup and bacon.
And just when you think you've lost it, you can see the smokehouse through that archway ahead. And right there, that is ye olde smokehouse. So we just arrived on Wednesday morning, and there's Jonathan and Mrs. KeefCooks merrily taking videos of each other, and there's me, desperate for a cup of tea. In the walk-in chiller there's chicken, sausages and ribs. The big things, the brisket and the pork shoulder, are pretty much already done. A smokehouse obviously needs lots of smoke to operate, and there's no smoke without fire. Here's the pork after it's been cooking for about 10 hours. It may look like big lumps of coal, but that's the bark, and it's critical for good pulled pork. The pit's got 3 levels, so to help removing racks from the lower levels there's a motorised hoist that slides along a gantry. Clever stuff.
This is brisket, you can just tell, lovely. Wow. Nice and nicely tender. So these get put to bed to rest for a good couple of hours before we blast them and spice them up.
So how did you end up? How did you get from Texas to Cumbria? From a sunny state to a temperate zone?
I married a Lancashire lad.
There we go.
But we had a fantastic wedding with Texas going to Colorado and England coming to Colorado, a ski holiday wedding.
There's a pallet full of seasoned oak, and it surprised me when Robin said that's what they use in Texas. I thought it'd be something else, I don't know why, hickory or something. and here's a bit of extra dry oak, which I guess is for kindling to get things going, or maybe it's a secret, but it's the wetter wood that generates the smoke.
And it's also worth noting there's a blower down here as well that we use to just inject air forcefully into the pit. Really gets things going if we're turning on the fork.
Takes a couple of minutes for the fire to take hold, and then we are cooking. You can see there a little bit of smoke escaping from the pit, but right. Looks like everything's under control, so I reckon it's time for a cuppa. Back on Strickland Gate, we came across a gang of Cumbrian locals playing some traditional Lakeland folk music. So Robin told us about how Pappy's Smokehouse got started.
He decided to do a big barbecue for all of our family after the funeral on my dad's pit, and we were just talking about how he did things and what he did, and over a glass of wine I did a cheers and said, "That's it, Pappy's Texas barbecue in the UK." And it was really just kind of, you know, keeping it in the family tradition. And the year before my dad passed away, he was here having Christmas with us, and he actually picked out my smoker trailer and designed it with my husband. So, but then when I was sourcing meat here, getting ready for my business, I walked into this abattoir and the smell like hit me, and I completely forgot that my grandfather was a partner. Well, from 16 he worked in a meat market, abattoir, right until he retired, and we used to go there as kids all the time, and I just thought, I mean, I like loved it. My husband about passed out. I was like, I love it, I love it. So
That's
yeah.
probably the strangest reaction I've ever heard of for an abattoir.
Well, do you know,
yeah,
it
when
makes
you
me
grew up.
think I was meant to do this but never knew it. So these are my own Texas hot link sausages. It's a Cumbrian beef, all beef sausage, and then I make up all the ingredients, and we put local Windermere Pale Ale beer in. So these, and I'll send them to the butcher, he'll run them off, send them back to me, and then they go on the smoker for about 2.5 to 3 hours. So this is sort of stage 3 of 4 stages, but love these. These are really nice, kind of spicy, fresh sausage.
Mind your head, Keith. Oh, I must show you this lovely lintel. Look at this. That is an authentic lintel. Robin's cut the sausages to length. She was saying there's about 100 pounds here. She normally does batches of about 400 pounds, so this is a small one. But she's going to put this first batch in what she calls the vertical pit, which, to me, is a tall oven.
We call it the vertical pit just because it's the tall pit.
Yeah.
And they do have a lot of stuff like this. It's just we hand built this pit to kind of suit the space and our needs.
You've just found a way to keep warm in Cumbria in winter, haven't you?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, this has got to be the coolest smokehouse ever. We got the music, we got the lights, we got the barbecue.
You're gonna have fun while you're wearing it.
The chicken portions get an occasional spritz with apple juice and possibly cider to help the skin crisp up.
Gonna have a long shooter on this vertical pit.
Absolutely. How deep are those shells?
Seven chickens long, pack 4.
Yeah.
That's 7 times 4.
So how long do the chicken legs get?
Kind of similar, about 2.5, 3 hours.
What is? I mean, I've eaten spare ribs, but what makes a spare rib, and what was the other one you do? A short rib.
Well, those are baby back ribs.
Baby back
So they're
ribs.
Pork rib.
Yeah.
But they're, you know, just the meat content and where they are actually on the pig. You know, where you're cutting them. So those
Okay.
are baby backs. Those tend to be about 750 gram. You know, full rack.
Okay.
Weight, where is a spare rib, or we kind of like in the UK what we call a meaty pork belly rib.
Oh, right.
You know, the meat on there, and they're about 2.5 kilos for one rack. Yeah.
The mustard's gone on, the homemade spice mix has gone on, and then it goes. So we've actually got 3 stages here. We've got the ribs, we've got Helen who's over there clearing membrane off, so only the good stuff's left, and Robin's putting her mix on. That is a generous sprinkle.
And into the pit they go.
So how long do your ribs get?
2 to 4 hours.
So is it just the brisket that you do overnight?
Yeah, brisket, pork shoulders are usually, you know, the big joints.
So when they come out, are they going to be black and crusty like the beef was, or do you not keep them in that long?
As much, because they will be dark.
Uh-huh.
It gets a bit smoky in here when the pit's open, but it's not too bad when everything's closed.
But basically, it should just come straight off the bone.
Now that is falling off the bone. Fifi, it's taste test time!
Not yet. Do you do anything with the bones, or you just chuck them?
I used to naughtily give them to my dog. That's a bad idea. Lean end down here, and that's the moist end. You know, the point where it kind of burnt ends would be all the kind of moisty, cubey bits from the bark. So.
And finally, it's almost time for the taste test. Robin is slicing a chunk of brisket, and if that doesn't make you drool, I don't know what will. It's taste test time with Robbie the chef. And this is KeefCooks.
Come to eat it! Oh, this is great.
I didn't cook it.
He so didn't cook it. We have watched Robin and Helen and Sarah off camera because they're shy, preparing all this, and it just looks fabulous. That's all I've got to say.
Get stuck in.
Yeah.
Our smoked brisket, pulled pork.
Come on, you two. Come have something to eat. Go. Come on, Sarah.
You need to taste it first. Get stuck in.
Oh, I believe it. It's going to be wonderful. We'll grab some of this. I'm going to grab. Use the pulled pork. Yeah, we don't have to tell you what's in this. You've seen it. Marvellous. Right.
And do a little
salad.
little nice. How is it?
Died and gone to heaven, look.
Yes, exactly.
That's
what
it.
it is.
Okay.
It's so tender, juicy,
Fantastic.
and smoky and crunchy and wonderful.
Yeah, I'm still getting mine in there. I'm getting the spices. You know it's fine. Hello.
Come on in.
So it's just having watched the whole process. Yeah. Because we missed the original sort of rubbing in, but having seen it all the way through being cooked and all the spritzing and all the rest of it, seeing all the love and the care these two they're hiding. This is just delightful.
Great, thank you.
So, Pappy Smokehouse, Kendall, pappysmokehouse.com.
Pappy's TexasBarbecue.co.uk.
I was was very
It's
close.
a mouthful. Hang on.
I'll put it on the screen.
Pappy's, yeah, Pappy's Texas Barbecue, spelt with a Q. Pappy's Texas Barbecue.co.uk. There you go. Easy.
So all the stuff on there, it's fantastic. And wow.
Come, order this stuff, it's marvellous.
Well, thanks, Joe.
Thank you. And yeah, big day.
Thank you. Glad you come and
Really
enjoyed it.
sophisticated filming, yeah?
Right, so if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, share, subscribe, etc. And thanks for watching. Oh, you can. Oh, you have to do this.
Go on, you two, ready?
Oh, cool.
Synchronize.
Ready?
Okay,
See you next time. Do it like that. See you next time.
Which one?